When Cool Borders 4 released in 1999 in North America and later in 2000 in other regions, the game came at a time when extreme sports started to explode in popularity, and a lot of it is mainly due to the success and the appeal of earlier games, not just in the Cool Borders series but other extreme sports games that were being developed for consoles and gaming systems years prior. That saw a multitude of different developers all trying to capitalise on this unique trend at the time to try and cash in with their own ideas or perceptions of how to create a unique experience in this industry. So with Cool Borders 4 again being developed by Idle Minds and 989 Studios, follows on from the previous title a year before with Cool Borders 3, that gives access to more unique tracks and characters, more distinct move sets and game modes to get involved with, and there's a few subtle tweaks with regards to the visual style compared to that seen in the third game, with just a little bit more detail added in, but also goes for a more realistic approach compared to, like say, the earlier two entries in the series. The game itself, with it being the fourth game, still only received average to mixed reviews among critics, stating that it was more of the same and that it didn't provide really anything new to the genre, as at that point there had been games that were already out, even on other systems. Like there was 1080 Snowboarding on the Nintendo 64 that at that point was considered the best snowboarding game on any platform due to many of its gameplay features and aesthetics. So a lot of these games that were coming out had a lot to live up to, and the PlayStation, while the multitude of games that were available, many of them still struggled to really capitalise on the success of these popular trends. But these games were also coming off of the back of a unique period in extreme sports, as the concept itself was exploding in popularity. But it wasn't just snowboarding that was really stepping up. You had other genres, even with the likes of skateboarding, and 1999 also produced the beginning of what is possibly considered the best extreme sports game series ever in existence, which was the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series. So all these games were coming out at a very unique time. But the fact is, like with Cool Borders 4 being the fourth entry in the series, that it was still going strong to some degree, as there was fans of the series that stayed true to the popularity of the concept, really stood to the popularity of extreme sports. The game did give you access to a lot more tracks, a lot more features, modes, even a 4-player mode as well, which added more depth compared to the previous entries. There was a lot more diversity in terms of tricks and other involving features on each of the tracks, so you could get a lot more involved to pull off unique tricks and combo moves. And the game just felt slightly a little bit more easier to pick up and play compared to that of the third game. And it is a good solid title in most respects, but like previous Cool Borders games or any snowboarding games, they do take a while, as while there is tweaks to the controls, they're still quite difficult to pick up and play, and in most cases can seem a little bit on the sluggish side in terms of the responses to button inputs and presses and so forth. So it will take a bit of time to figure out what to do. Again, everything comes back to timing and just persistence in order to get the most out of it. But there's just a plethora of these games that were being released on the PlayStation. It's insane. Like, as even with recording this video, I'm finding an insane amount of other types of games in this genre that I'd never even seen before. So I'm going to try and experience as many of them as I possibly can while I can, because there's a lot of them out there that if I've never heard of them, there's a very good chance that most of you have never heard of them either, or you've been trying to find them but just can't remember the names of them. So with making these videos, hopefully it will bring that appeal back to a select few. But they're just a unique concept. While they're not considered the best that the system has to offer, they do offer something different that will provide a different experience that you generally won't get anywhere else. But in saying that, this game, if you've played Cool Borders 3, there's very little difference in terms of this one compared to that game as well. Just a few subtle tweaks here and there, but essentially it feels like the exact same game. Cool Borders 2001 would also have that similar trait, but it would improve mainly with the control systems and even with some of the environments that you race around in. But we will look at that in another video. But it's still an interesting title. It's still a lot of fun to play, mind you, if you can be patient with it and understand all of the tricks and movesets. It is a good fun title, and it definitely is a good way to explore many of these unique and obscure titles that were released on the PlayStation, as for many of us they were very popular back in the day. Like, you would not believe how this trend started to grow in popularity back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So these games were just a reflection of that time in many regards. But aside of what I think, I would love to know your thoughts of Cool Borders 4 and what you think of it overall. Did you like this aesthetic moving forward with the games in the series, or do you prefer the style of the original 2 games? Or what other types of snowboarding games are you a big fan of that were released on the PlayStation also? So be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you would like to see more content around other types of snowboarding games or extreme sports titles that were released on the PlayStation, then you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.